Horror movies just don't work when you've got a Walther.
Bear with me today.
Guess who's back?
I have never, it's funny, it's just low grade. I don't know, but since I've had twins, I've never been sick so many times.
It's true.
And I know exactly when it happened. My son, I was playing with him, holding him up like this, and the drool, it was like it happened in slow motion, went down and in my mouth like the embalming fluid and dragged me to hell.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to have a cold.
I think I need to adjust my chair. It's still at Dave's setting.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Well, that's not normal. And I need to adjust my headphones. Glad to be with you. Look, there's
What are you saying, boy? Boy.
Oh, no, the cat's out of the bag.
Now everybody's going to know I'm short.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, no.
How dare you?
Well, if they find out I'm overweight, I'm going to have to kill myself.
Yes. He's from the Weight Watchers Pygmy tribe.
It's true.
No, we have a lot to get to. Fetterman, of course, debated yesterday. Are you okay, Joe?
Yeah,
I see you screwing around.
It takes a minute.
Yeah,
like
and my
you
headphones
said.
are different, too. Everything has changed when we switched seats.
I moved
Yeah.
your chair down a little bit, and you're like, what the hell?
This is a tad louder. Do
Yeah.
you hear
Let's
okay?
see.
It is.
Yeah.
No, I don't. So, look, before I get to we're going to talk about Fetterman and versus Dr. Oz. And now, of course, everyone's talking about ableism. That's the only reason you might not like, a guy who looks like American History X warmed over, who can't pronounce his own name. It's because you're ableist. And my question to you is, do you buy it? Is anyone buying this? Is anyone buying the ableism stuff?
Nope.
Ableism is the new racism. It's another way of shutting down dialogue before you can actually discuss ideas. And it's based on identity. It's shut down dialogue based on identity so we don't get two ideas. So we'll be talking about that. Also, Taylor Swift can't do anything right.
But good.
Tried to appease the LGBTQAIP and then, ticked off the fat pride community.
Yeah, they'll do it.
No good deed goes unpunished. All right, so we have that and more. We're going to be talking something I really want to talk about today. We've had this kind of in the wings for a while. The performance of students in this country right now. I don't know if you know, it's the worst that it's been as far as proficiency score since 1991.
Jeez.
And now we have a really clear contrast between public schools, run by the true heroes, and homeschooling. Take a guess. Which one's doing better? Gerald A., how are you, sir?
I am so much better now that my chair's adjusted. I feel
Is it
like
adjusted?
I'm back in my zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very limited, it's a very niche zone.
Well, and I know how
Same
you're
joke
doing.
doesn't work twice, idiot.
Yeah, I know.
Like I said,
That's why Gallagher brings one watermelon.
listen,
Yeah.
like
if
I
he
said,
had two,
It's too much. Too much of a good thing. You end up like Lizzo.
bad
why I
jokes
have-
are my zone. What do you think I was talking about?
Yeah, just let him. He's vibing. Ooh, he's right in there. Tractor beat. All right. So, of course, you know him. You love him. Fastest man on his feet. He is actually going to be at the Tampa Improv, November 4th through 5th. Yeah, do I have that right? November 4th and 5th, not 4th through 5th. It's 2 days. You can go watch him there. Dave Landa, how are you?
ahoy, good, you?
I'm fine. You know, it's just it's staying right here in my throat and in my nose, so I'll be fine. But it's just it sounds worse than it is. It's
I think you sound better than yesterday.
a little bit. Yeah. It's just this is what happens when you have little ones. They're walking petri dishes.
No, I had just one, and it was constant. So if you have one that's just going to the other, that's just going back to you.
Right.
Just a triangle of sick.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
What do they do before modern medicine?
Oh,
They had like 19 kids.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they weren't all dead from SARS. And,
Well, they mostly were.
yeah,
That's
that's
why
true.
you had 19, so
Yeah.
some would survive.
You're
That's
like, well-
actually true. Yeah, we're gonna lose at least a third.
Yes.
We don't know which ones of you are going to survive.
Oh, we did. You forgot to take into account the amount who will get kicked by horses. Oh, sorry. That's going to be 3/5. They're gone.
Yeah. Oh. Well, we better have 20 and ruin your body. Huh?
Yes.
And don't worry, I'll take another wife later on, and she'll be really hot.
Yes.
Imagine who discovered the C-section. Poor broad. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
So before we get to any of that, apparently healthy.
Discovered it on her. What is this?
I don't know. We're rolling the dice. This could be great for us.
I don't know, cut right about there.
Yeah, you passed out when we were saying push, so we just did this.
Yeah.
Figured you'd be good with it.
Yeah.
She starts screaming in pain, like, better get the leeches to suck the demons out of her. That's all you do is bitch, bitch, bitch.
Yeah.
All right. So apparently, being healthy now and having, I was told not to watch this before it aired. And I don't like that.
Well, that's never a good thing.
Apparently, being healthy and having a flat stomach is not considered attractive anymore. Really? By the way, that was societal conditioning. You like women who are healthy? No. This is what you want.
This is just a reminder that your tummy is so cute. So cute.
Screw you, Gary. He pulled that clip and told me not to
man.
watch it. He knew exactly what was going to happen.
I
I ate oatmeal this morning.
Well,
Why?
did it look like that?
Yes. Exactly like that. That's the point.
I'm such a hotter lady.
Can we play that again? Can we play that again? No. Because all you guys are trying to be cute with this. You're gonna you watch
I
it.
don't
You
know.
look at it.
Look at it. I want to look at it.
Go.
This is just a reminder that your tummy is so cute. That's a huge so cute.
Where's its arms telling Arnold Schwarzenegger
Yeah, Guado.
information?
Okay, Mojo.
That is disgustingly
Well,
fat.
that's not even like I don't understand how that happened. Because the rest of
One guess.
well
Stab at it.
fell out of
Take a lipo
fell
needle
off
at
a
it.
tractor. No, I
Can I just clarify one thing though too? Look,
Yeah.
you have never, ever on the show heard me just go, ha, fat person. Ever. Okay? It's when people demand that you praise them as beautiful and brave that I have a problem with it. When I see overweight people at the gym, you know, it almost brings a tear to my. They're in there. They're trying to make it happen. I go out of my way to encourage them and say, "Hey, man, you know we're all a work in progress." Or, well, I saw you here last week. That's more. I make sure to try and encourage them because I know how hard it is. On the flip side, also, if I see a really fit person jogging, you ever do this where you're driving and someone's jogging and they look around, they don't think anyone sees them, and they quit and they start walking.
yeah.
I roll down the window and go, ah!
Whenever I see a very attractive person jogging, I roll down the window and I'm like, "Hey, fat ass."
Yes, exactly.
It's not working.
It's homeostasis.
Yes. Like they
You
have
don't
to be
get
beautiful.
you don't get to declare yourself beautiful. That's the thing. It's not something that you get to declare. Remember when we used to say, "Don't be boastful"? Wasn't there a fable about that somewhere? Aesop was his name.
Something. He had
I believe.
some fables.
Now it's just boast about all the worst things. That's the issue here. And by the way, the reason that I want to see people when I see them in the gym, when I see them bettering themselves, is because I don't want people to. No. Let me put it this way. Let's put a finer point on it. Remember, your stomach is cute. You're dying.
On camera.
Yes, that's what's happening.
Yeah. saying
You're
that that's
dying. That is unhealthy. You can be obese and be healthy. No, you can't. No, you cannot. It's just as healthy. No, it's not.
Only if you change the definition of healthy.
Yes, exactly.
Then maybe yes.
Look, guys, we're
Yes.
all dying a little bit, you know, every
true.
second of every day.
as soon as
true.
you're born,
She's just dying a lot
Faster.
a lot
lot
faster.
more.
Yeah.
Yes.
The half-life is different.
Yeah. Also, the half leg, which she's right.
Sugarfoot.
She's right
I just
there.
surprised it was so hidden. Like
The reveal was
yeah,
necessary,
like a
right?
Jack in the Box. I was
Yeah.
like, that's well, I'm sure she goes a lot, but there's also it all came out.
And she orders two drinks.
Well, I was
I'm
confused
thinking-
about the stomach and then the edit. Like, it's fat that found out that there was no place to go south, and so they just started going out.
Well, you think the fat just gives up? They're like, I don't care how many vertical stripes you wear. This is.
Happening.
I got a belly, and I just want to know where to get those pants. I don't know.
yeah.
I'd like to feel more comfortable.
Yeah, just shop at the maternity store.
That's where I'll go.
Oh.
Well, you mean continue to?
That's probably where they're shopping now.
so bad.
Didn't you kind of pick up the hint when you were not pregnant and you had to shop at the third trimester section of the maternity store? That's because of the miracle of life.
I shop
not Funyuns.
I shop at Husky Boys. I go,
Well, that's
it's a 3328, friend.
You're
that's
going
when
to
you're
like the
looking
way
for
you
an
die.
8-year-old.
What?
Never mind.
All right.
You're going to like the way you look in your coffin.
Yes.
They're going to like the way you look.
The 19 pallbearers are going to like the way you look.
And hate the way you weigh.
Gosh.
That
All
didn't
right.
work.
Okay. There's some kind of a Halloween joke in there. By the way, we're doing our Spooktacular on Monday. Costume contest that we will have. Oh, there you go. Look, you've got that right there. Okay. All right. Let's go to this, and I apologize. I do have a lozenges in my throat. So can you guys hear that, or is it just my own head?
I think it's just you.
Okay, good.
I can't really hear
Otherwise,
it.
it sounds gross. Okay. So last night, we did this whole segment yesterday. Gerald did a very good job. The not only the debates, but the actual sort of state of our elections here in the midterms. Last night was a big one because you have two pricks. You have Dr. It's like
fair. It's fair.
Yeah, and then the third party. It's like a booster. Yeah. Two pricks and a booster. Mm-hmm. So you've got Dr. Oz, and I get it. You have to vote of the lesser of two evils at this point. I don't know how this guy ended. Well, I do know how, and unfortunately, I'm sad about it. But not sad about it. I don't know. Look, I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't like him.
What? No, you shouldn't.
Is that clear?
Oz or Fetterman?
Both.
Either one of them, but I would
with
vote
you.
for Oz if I had to.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look, people in Pennsylvania, comment below. How do you feel having to pull the lever for someone like Dr. Oz? Has there been a more clear-cut example of someone who isn't really a constitutional conservative but has an R next to their name? And I get it. You're voting for the platform at this point. Believe me, I'm certainly not saying you shouldn't go out and vote, but that's a pretty rough choice. So last night, Dr. Oz and Fetterman debated.
And that's what you want to call it.
Yes.
And Fetterman just said, fire bad.
Pretty much.
He didn't have to pull the fire alarm either.
Yeah, well,
That was his plan B. So Fetterman was, as you would expect, and people have talked about this, his stroke. We'll get into that more. A complete, and I mean, he was worse than that. He was worse than that porridge stomach lady. He was a complete mess.
As lieutenant governor, you're running for a seat that could decide the balance of power in Washington. What qualifies you to be a U.S. senator? You have 60 seconds.
Hi, good night, everybody. I'm running to serve Pennsylvania. He's running to use
He was
Pennsylvania.
dead serious.
Mr. Oz, I do want to clarify something. You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote,
And
I don't
100 other
support
times.
fracking at all. So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and
That's a question?
I don't.
There was one?
I support fracking, and I stand and I do support fracking.
Has the Biden administration overspent? And if so, where do you think spending should be cut? You have 60 seconds.
Till what?
No, here's what I think we have
Mars?
to fight about inflation here right now. That's what we need to fight about inflation. Right now because it's a tax on working families. Now, we all have to make sure that everyone that works is able to, that's the most American bargain, that if you work full time, you should be able to live in dignity as well, true. And I believe they haven't have any businesses being you can't have businesses being subsidized by not paying individuals that just simply can't afford to pay their own way.
We are all now stupider.
You sure,
Look, I get that you're going to think this is rude.
What do you even say to that?
What do you look, people, right now this is trending everywhere. We'll get to it. It's ableists to say that this guy is not qualified. I don't know why there's a trend. You put up someone like a former Vice President Joe Biden, and now you have this man. Now, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I will be clear. Could be just a processing issue where he's not speaking properly. We don't, with strokes, sometimes your brain works fine and your mouth just can't. It just can't connect with the brain.
Right.
So I don't know. But I do know that was bad.
Well, the answer itself, if you if you combined everything, really didn't make any sense.
No.
So it would be difficult to know his stance.
I don't know if also it was the stroke talking or like he was trying to Jedi mind trick. Good night, everybody.
Yes. He also
I won.
That's what kids do when they're like, okay, good night.
yeah, he also
"No,
just
this isn't-"
said, I stand.
Yes.
Like, well, that's good.
Yes.
When you're doing debate prep, because
for
yes, I make poop.
I'm voting for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just for entertainment value.
When you do
for
the
sure.
debate prep here, like, doesn't your team go, oh crap, Like, we have a problem. We need to cancel this debate. You should have canceled the debate.
Yeah.
Like, it should never have happened if you were going to be in that kind of shape to perform. Because, like you said, maybe his brain is working fine. But if I was a voter right now who was potentially going to vote for him, maybe an independent, I would say, write out your answers for me live.
Show your work.
Additional help. And let me see that the brain is actually still functioning and it's just a speech processing issue, which if that's the case, fine.
Show me your brain.
But
what are we going to do tomorrow night, Dr. Oz? Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to ruin the country.
Lose an election.
Fetterman.
By the way, did I hit anything here, Toolman? I hit a button. No, am I good?
I think you
Okay.
did, yeah.
So the public was very clear as to who won the debate. This almost never happens. 82% believe that Dr. Oz won the debate, and 18%.
Who are the 18?
Yeah, I just. By the way, there's a plus or minus margin of error of 18%.
Of 27%. Yeah. Seriously, you're just trying to screw with the polling average?
They also pulled blow-up Frankensteins that were in people's front yards.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, exactly.
The used car lot. How do you think Fetterman performed?
Yeah, 2 hands up if Fetterman won. Okay, got it.
All
Yeah.
right, good.
Thank you. All the news that's fit to print here at Quinnipiac. All right. So here's how one Pennsylvania voter put it themselves.
So I was definitely, I'm an independent, by the way. I was definitely leaning towards Fetterman, and I think I have totally changed to the Oz side.
Why?
I felt that Fetterman just looked like he didn't have command of the facts. I do think his condition, unfortunately, is going to affect his ability to do the job. I thought Oz was pretty clear on the issues, and I thought he presented himself well and definitely threw out some plans where I didn't see any plans coming out of Fetterman.
Well, Chris Cuomo's still alive.
He is. Who knows?
I can't believe he has a show.
It's
loosest
on a
sense of the word.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder who he molests there.
Yeah. That was so it's pretty clear. By the way, hit the like button if you're okay with us. We're going to venture into ableist territory here. So just for those of you who don't know, Fetterman did suffer a stroke, and of course, horrible, and I hope that he recovers.
Absolutely.
May, I believe. It was about, and he disclosed it about, he disclosed it before the primaries, just to be clear.
Just a couple of days.
Just a couple of days before the primaries.
Yeah.
But he said that he was given a clean bill of health from his doctor. And it says, the good news is I'm feeling much better. The doctors tell me I didn't suffer any cognitive damage. And the doctor, in a letter, Dr. Clifford Chen, said he has no work restrictions and can work full duty in public office, which is good for him because I don't know, like he's more capable than Lena Dunham.
Dr. Chen is also Dr. Oz's assistant.
Yes.
It's like, oh yeah, you're good to go.
Yes, exactly.
Was Dr. Chen watching last night? Would you like to revise his testimony?
And I don't think it's ableist if you're worried about, the neurology of a
because being able to being able to communicate your point is necessary in the Senate when you're debating other senators, when you're trying to get a bill going, when you're trying to speak to your constituents or the American people, like being able to communicate your point. We've seen this with Joe Biden, and we've made fun of it because it's like everybody says nothing's wrong here. It's just a stuttering problem, and now you're going after him for stuttering. It's like, no, other people are looking at this. Other world leaders are looking at Joe Biden. Now, maybe other world leaders won't look at Fetterman, but definitely other states,
You mispronounced senators. Laughing.
Well, yes. I was being nice.
Yes, you were.
They're looking at this and seeing somebody who doesn't seem to be all there. Well, even if maybe they are.
I think the difference is Fetterman admitted he had a stroke.
Yes.
He did.
And Biden doesn't admit that he has one every 15 minutes.
Right.
Well,
they're called mini strokes. They're absent seizures.
Yes, that's true.
But I'm not a doctor.
I'm just guessing.
Here's the thing. Also, again, I've had people in my family who've had strokes, and I've also had people in my family who've suffered from, cognitive decline. 6 months is a pretty important benchmark for stroke victims. That's when you'll have a pretty clear idea if they're going to recover or to what degree they're going to recover. It's sort of like, the first 48 hours after someone gets kidnapped. Also a great show.
Yeah.
Just get a lawyer, you'll win.
Good.
When I watch it. Tom Segura has a really funny bit about that, by the way. But it is 6 months. And he's at the 6 month mark. He's coming up right here in the 6 month mark. So if he hasn't improved now maybe it's just, maybe it's an auditory processing issue, as he says. Maybe he's not able to communicate the words, but it's fine in his mind. He has full cognitive abilities. I genuinely don't know. What I do know is it doesn't matter. Because like you said, you need to be able to communicate and articulate your thoughts. Your job here is to be a conduit for your constituents, people who vote for you. That is your job. You need to be, it is effectively to put a voice to the people who vote for you. And it's hard to do if you can't speak without, shitting your pants and forgetting where you were every 5 minutes.
Well, the president has set a bad precedent.
Yes,
he has.
Yes,
Precedents.
I think it's both.
Yeah, it's both in that case.
So the debate performance, right, they clearly show that he's not able to do that. Right. And by the way, according to a neuroscientist, since I am not one, says he may never be.
Do you get better?
So it depends. Someone mentioned therapy, and therapy can be very, very helpful, especially if you are doing it every day and you're taking a lot of time in your therapy. Essentially, what we know is that in the first 3 to 6 months is where you see the most improvement. There can be some improvement over the next year, but I think he's about 6 months out now. This happened in May. So I think if he was doing therapy right after his stroke, this is probably where has improved to the most.
And by the way, I genuinely hope I'm wrong. I hope that he recovers entirely. He just shouldn't be recovering on the taxpayer dollar. That's not an appropriate place for you to be. That's what it is. Now, of course, people are saying that this is ableism. Why? Because they need to carry the water for Fetterman. Sorry, Fetterman, not Dr. Oz. It's tough because they're almost one of the same in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And they're, of course, using the argument now. It's just the new racism. It's ableism.
Prejudice towards disabilities is what it is.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It couldn't be that, hey, maybe, for example, if you don't have legs, it's difficult for you to run a marathon. That's not ableism. It's a prerequisite. And by the way, we have this all the time. We have qualifiers for jobs all of the time if someone doesn't have a college degree because they didn't score high enough on their SATs. They didn't get into the right college. Is that ableism? There's always a barrier to entry. And this really does stem from a cultural sort of poison of don't judge me. This idea, only God can judge me. No. Only God's judgment is final. Only God's judgment is what matters when it comes to the ultimate truth. You are judged each and every day, and you should be judging others, not judging them as though you're a judge, jury, and executioner, determining whether they're a good person or bad person, but you certainly need to be making judgments when electing representatives. That's why we have elections, but they want you to feel guilty about that. So here's MSNBC columnist Liz Plank. She tweeted, Dr. Oz just gave a masterclass on how to bully people with disabilities by talking. And also wrote, when your side is so bad, you have to rely on ableism to win. Here's another one. Journalist Mitra Kalita tweeted, it's fascinating how stroke is wielded as a weapon in the hashtag Fetterman Oz debate. Literally millions of us, myself included, who identify as caregivers or survivors.
Wait.
How do you identify as a caregiver?
You either are or you're not.
Yes.
It's binary, as I was understanding it. I didn't know.
There's just someone sitting there with an empty IV drip.
Yeah.
I identified as a caregiver. I didn't know how to do it.
Well, yeah. Also,
can you change my bedpan? I identify as someone who did change your bedpan.
That thing's beeping.
I'm covered in shit.
Also, I'm not a fan of Dr. Oz just being a doctor, let alone in this, but...
Well, yes.
What's he doing? He's talking.
Yes.
That doesn't... What was he supposed to do? Mock him and do an impression of his voice?
Well, that's what you would...
Like, why?
It's ableist simply to say, this person may be unfit. So it finishes with, it says, someone who identifies as caregivers or survivors embrace imperfection and marvel at reinvention after stroke. Go ahead. Reinvent yourself. That's fine. Just don't do it on our time, on the taxpayer dime. Same thing in any sport. Yes, I hope they recover knee surgery. You see this, but they can't do it if it causes their team to lose. And we have a segment, we're doing a change my mind on this, on women in combat roles in the military and the police. I'm against it. Women in combat violent roles and enlisted services roles, just to be clear. It's a selfish mindset of, well, if this person has, they're reinventing themselves. They're breaking down barriers. Okay, that would be fine. And you can make your own decisions. If it only affected you, it doesn't. It affects the guy next to you. It affects your country. It affects the people electing you. This idea that I can choose to do whatever I want with my own body. Sure, you can. And other people can choose to judge you based on your qualifications and judge you based on your performance. That's okay to do.
Yeah. Well, and look, you're looking at a person's capacity to do a job. And that was the whole argument that we had against Joe Biden, is that it doesn't seem like he's up to the task, right? He doesn't seem like he's all there. Maybe Joe Biden 10 years ago, I disagree with him still, right? But at least he was all there at that point. At least it appeared that was the case. With Fetterman, I really do. I'd asked the question to be kind of funny earlier, but when you're debating somebody, would you have been any less prepared if a guy had literally pooped and covered himself in it and said, fight me, right? I would have been like, I don't know how to respond to either one of those.
You stole my story of the guy on PCP.
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's the kind of thing. You're in a debate.
I saw it once.
Remember when Barack Obama got his butt kicked in the first debate, and then the second debate, they're like, oh, you went a little too hard after him. You got to take
Mitt Romney
back a little bit with Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
And he ended up not doing very well in the second debate because he pulled his punches. If you're Dr. Oz, there's nowhere to go here. The guy just answered incoherently.
He said good night first.
He did.
Yes.
I would have been like, well, shoot. I lost.
Romney.
What does he do when he reads to his kids? Good morning, moon.
Good night, moon that jumped over the cow.
What? What? Huh?
Dad's going to read us an upside-down book again.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's reading backwards and his head's spinning around. Oh, it's Halloween.
It's not any. We've all had stroke victims in our family and people
Yes.
that have had a cognitive decline, myself included, as far as that goes. But that was self-induced. But honestly, nobody wants anything bad to happen to this guy medically.
No, of course not.
Like, that's what I don't understand why you would call it ableist. It's like, it's not. Anybody who is angry or hateful towards a handicapped person are the worst people on earth, and I've only heard it like once in my life.
Right, unless
So
it's like
you
a 400-pound lady in a hover round who has a handicap parking.
Well,
can
yeah.
hold that?
Then you tip her.
Yes.
With a group of friends.
Yes, you do.
Oh,
Yeah.
But
tip her
only
over.
only in the security of the dark blanket of night.
Yes, with no cameras,
Yes.
as I've heard.
And then she jumped over the moon. So
Doubted.
here, by the way, so that's now ableism. But again, it's not even consistent. It's just the new racism. It's a way to shut down dialogue based on identity before you get to ideas. Here's how you know they're not consistent. This was them back then. Do you remember the media with Donald Trump, where they made it a big issue, by the way? And the difference here is they were dishonestly making it a big issue, claiming he was unfit for office. Here.
There are some questions this morning about President Trump's health, and it's because of this video of the president where you see him walking very haltingly, one leg at a time. It starts happening here.
People do tend to walk one leg at a time.
Down a ramp.
That looks like me
And
walking
this
on
is
down
after he gave a
museum stairs.
commencement
That's all.
speech at West
Yeah.
Point. Sanjay, President Trump is not known for being athletic, so maybe he just has a hard time going down a gently sloping ramp. Do you see something possibly neurological that could be throwing off his balance?
Yeah. By the way, any of you ever had a shoulder injury?
Is that what it was?
I don't know what it was, but the
looked
point
like
is it was for a very limited time, and they made a big deal about it.
Yeah.
He could have been, yesterday I had vertigo. We talked about that. When I get head colds, it's just something that kind of runs in the family. That's different from someone who has had a stroke and consistently, across the board, is not performing to the level that is required of his job. And by the way, unlike Fetterman, with his response is "Good night," Donald Trump had some great answers to the media's questions, claims, accusations.
Sir, are you ready? I said, I'm ready, General. Where are we going now? And he goes like this, right here, sir. I walk on. I've got myself a problem, General, because I'm wearing leather bottom shoes, which is good if you're walking on flat surfaces. It's not good for ramps. It had no handrail. It was like an ice skating rink. I said, General, there's no way I can make it down that ramp without falling on my ass, General.
His physical strength and stamina are extraordinary. If elected, Mr. Trump, I can state unequivocally, will be the healthiest individual ever elected to the presidency.
Whoa.
Clearly, he wrote that letter.
How do you get a doctor to write
In all fairness, I said, Doc, I want to tell you, I'll be the healthiest president ever. And he said, oh, I think I agree. And I think he probably took my words and he put it down. He was the White House doctor. He was a great doctor. He was an admiral, a doctor, and now he's a congressman. I said, which is the best if you had your choice? And he sort of indicated doctor because he loved looking at my body. It was so strong. Oh.
And by the way,
awesome.
that's why I wear these boots. It's absolutely true. Where it has rubber, it's a leather sole, but it has rubber there because this has happened. There are actually stories of UFC fighters getting into street fights and getting their clock cleaned because they were in leather shoes. If you've ever worn leather shoes, you know.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
no grip
you
on
just
them.
slip all over the place.
Yeah.
So it was an easy answer. But I mean, even if, let's say that he was sick and not able to get down the stairs very well, that wasn't a disqualifying condition. Being able to move around and run a race is not a qualification for being president of the United States.
Being able to think kind of is.
Speak. Speaking is somewhat important.
But you're ableist.
Joe.
You're ableist. That's the issue here. You're ableist. When they were making an issue that look, I think objectively we can all agree that former Vice President Joe Biden is certainly less spry than President Donald Trump. And this is how the media says, no, he's fine. They're being ableist. They're trying to use it as an attack. Then with Donald Trump, they would say, well, hold on, why is he lifting this glass of water? There's no consistency, and it's very clear that it's just used as a tool. These people, and when I say these people, I mean people in the media, the entertainment industrial complex, they are so quick to weaponize it when it's not significant. When it actually matters, it's because they are repelled by truth, right? Donald Trump, look, for all of his faults, he had an incredible amount of energy, too much energy. You can't say, he's not fit, and then be like, he's tweeting too much, he doesn't sleep, he just doesn't stop, he's fundamentally changing the country. Yeah, because he's enthusiastic and he has energy.
Yeah.
But they are repelled by the truth. And in this case, we know the guy had a stroke. We know that the 6-month recovery point is important. And no, you're ableist. There really is a consistent through line. If it's true, they reject it, and they fabricate a lie. And then they accuse you of insert-ism here. Racism, sexism, transphobism, if that's a term, fat phobia-ism. I don't know. I have no idea, and I don't even know how you get over fat phobia.
Well, they set the
Is
bar.
it touch therapy? Like when I was afraid of a spider, I had to hold it?
Don't touch that we saw earlier.
You have to dance with it.
Grab her rolls.
I meant with the spider.
Yes.
Yes. Well, look, every media outlet that I've seen covering this morning has put stroke survivor Fetterman debate. Like they're basically trying to carry his water and lean into the fact that he had a stroke so that they can say, oh, you need to be sympathetic to him. You're not supposed to win public office on sympathy. It's supposed to be qualifications.
Pity vote.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what they're pushing.
You don't remember when Mussolini won on his dyslexia?
That's true.
Joe Biden won on a stutter, so I guess it can work.
Pol Pot, I have ADHD.
Oh, well, I mean...
Hitler won because he could only grow facial hair, right?
Yes.
Charlie Chaplin thing.
Very sad.
So this is also, they want to draw attention away from the fact that when you do get down to the substance, look, Fetterman, let's get rid of it. You can call me an ableist, racist as well. I don't care. He lied. So either he is not mentally capable of serving in office, or he's a dishonest person. Case in point, he said he always supported fracking. Is it a lie, or is he mentally unfit and he doesn't remember? You have to pick one.
I've always supported fracking. I don't support fracking at all, and I never have.
I called for a moratorium on fracking. There's no such thing as a green fracker.
I'm not pro-fracking.
2016 fracking moratorium pledge that Fetterman signed for an environmental watchdog group, as well as a 2016 tweet he sent while running for U.S. Senate.
I don't support fracking. I think it's something that has to eventually go away, and I would like to see it, transition out.
Lie or unfit? You take your pick. By the way, he also released 10 convicted first-degree murderers from prison.
What?
And that's just a micro. All the references are available at loudearthcreditor.com. As a mayor, he oversaw skyrocketing crime, but of course, he's a Democrat, so that's like par for the course.
Well, in fairness, 4 of those murders had strokes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't want to be
hurt. We don't want to be ableist.
Well, and only 8 of them are repeat offenders.
That's right.
Now, so it's not as bad as it could be.
We need to stop the overcrowding of our prison system with stroke victims.
Yes. Who do we release first? I don't know. Pick the worst of the worst other than pedophiles. Yes. Murderers it is.
Yeah, white-collar crimes? No. This guy killed a bunch of people.
Yes, but he has a droopy eye. Oh, you're free to go.
He got it out of his system.
On your way, friend.
Yes.
You're just misunderstanding him.
The Braddock Town candle face killer.
Here's a wheelchair and a blanket.
Yes.
And a party. Way, good sir.
And a ballot.
And
be sure to vote.
Yeah.
By the way, this is a live show Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. And next week we have something that will only go on Rumble. So you can watch us on YouTube, on Rumble. There's audio, Spotify, Apple, Android, all of that. And of course, Mug Club. We have a whole additional segment on Andrew Tate today.
Yeah.
Mug Club, like another 45 minutes of show where we'll get into theology a little bit.
Yeah.
So nothing would make me happier than you all switching and leaving to Rumble. And next week we do have an interview with a mortician, an undertaker, who's had to deal with bodies in the face of new
stuff,
medical advancements, but that won't be available on YouTube.
By the way, so I need an admonishment. I need it because I talked to you. You understand this need, don't you? Yes, you're right there. And he wants one as well. If somebody's getting one, he's getting one. When we talked about all of the races that were closer than we thought, we actually left out a very key race that most people aren't talking about because it's New York.
Guatemalan.
You just assume that a Democrat is going to be governor of New York, and it looks... It's within the margin, I think, with the Quinnipiac poll, and also it's It's almost too close to call in other polls.
I'm a Rasmussen guy.
I just think that it's fair. New York, we're sorry.
Trafalgar.
You're doing pretty well as well. Please elect somebody other than Satan that turns out to be a woman.
Monmouth. I'll stop naming polls.
Yeah. So anyway, hold on. I want my admonishment.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
He gets a godlike thrill.
It's weird when you ask for it.
It is weird when you ask for it.
You've asked for it then.
No, I deserved it.
No, I said it's weird
you
when
ask for it when you
ask for it.
Oh.
Exactly.
He's brought it up in context of the conversation. You just brought it up to be admonished.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like I deserved it for leaving out a very important detail. So
good. Did you get that little tingle down your leg? You feel
no,
good?
I didn't.
Yeah,
I
you
need
did.
another one.
Give it to him. Give it to him.
Oh, man, here we go. Fine.
You're sick! You're sick! Why would you do? I'm just messing with you. So, name that movie line. All right.
It's good. Yeah.
Taylor Swift. Let's move on to this now. Well, we're talking about ableism, and you can't please everybody because you say, hey, hold on, I don't think you should be a senator. Why? Because you can't talk. Ableist. Now, let's go to another example of how you can't please everybody. Taylor Swift, of course, as woke as one can get, decided to release. Well, first, you know what? It's our entertainment minute.
There you go.
Hey, remember when the Beatles, it was scandalous because they wanted to hold hands with ladies?
I do.
Okay, just take that, keep it on the shelf because it will be relevant. Now, Taylor Swift just released a teaser for her new upcoming video, and she's in there, you would think, appeasing the left because she's getting it on, or emotionally, with a trans dude. We're a long way from teardrops on my guitar, aren't we?
A little bit.
It's a lot of places to film.
Yes. Yes, it is. What was that, a Lunesta commercial?
I think so. Yeah.
Then they'll tell you about how authentic they are. So,
I'm sorry, what? Where was the trans person?
Well, here, I think we have an image right here.
This is the Lunesta commercial.
Lunesta commercial.
It's a Lunesta commercial.
Yes.
It is?
So
yeah.
You wouldn't notice, right? Not kidding. Not a joke.
Laith Ashley, actually, yeah, is a love interest. I guess that's a trans woman to whatever. What? He used to be a she.
No, but I'm curious as to why we're blurring nipples of a man.
Because
solid transition.
Yeah, it's a solid transition.
I gotta say, I mean, if you're gonna do it,
good for you.
Good on you.
You know, you can thank your surgeons from the bottom of your enlarged heart.
You gave 110%.
Yes.
And now you're in a video.
Do you have any idea how unnatural that would be in the female body to get that, to put on that amount of muscle mass? Do you have any idea how much testosterone would have to be coursing through that lady's veins?
And so,
there's a lot of quick to anger moments.
Yes.
So we're just supposed to. Okay.
Thank God, Taylor.
What? Oh, nothing. I don't want to be here.
Yeah, I don't want to get Benoit.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I see you're putting a weight bench in the basement.
What is this, Unbreakable? Jeez. Okay. I think that warrants a comment, by the way. Comment below. I think, look, that is a pretty good. That's not a barely passable. That's a passable.
Very
not for the nipple bar.
Yeah,
5'4".
Oh, well, that changes everything.
I don't know.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm taller than that.
Yeah, good for you.
5'4.5".
We take the win.
5'5.5", son.
Thank you. Sorry.
So let's go. Let's do a then and now here, because of course people have been upset with Taylor Swift. But back then, and this is how Taylor Swift became popular. She was an apolitical girl next door kind of country music star, right? Very talented. I'm not taking that away from Taylor Swift. Was very talented for someone her age. When asked about politics back then, Taylor would give responses like, "I don't talk about politics because it might influence other people, and I don't think that I know enough yet in life to be telling people who to vote for."
Still don't.
Well, no, she's figured it out. So
yes.
Now, she, of course, began showing support for Democrats in the state of Tennessee. It was a huge story, and of course, there are a bunch of other agendas that she's decided to take on as her raison d'être. But I think we have a clip.
The midterm race in her home state of Tennessee is a major battle. Swift had avoided politics in the past, but ABC's Eva Pilgrim is here with more. And Eva, probably not a surprise to many, she's picking the Democrat in this race.
But it is a surprise to see that she's actually speaking about politics. This is so out of the norm for Taylor Swift, who until now has avoided any comment about politics, even taking down a post at one point encouraging people to just get out to vote. But overnight, the superstar making it clear to her 112 million followers on Instagram and the world where she stands.
Okay, and then after the Roe v. Wade decision, Swift retweeted Michelle Obama and wrote, "I'm absolutely terrified that this is where we are, that after so many decades of people fighting for women's rights to their own bodies, today's decision has stripped us of that." I love how it really is with the abortion issue. And by the way, they have not been getting the traction they thought they would going into the midterms, which I'm really happy about. It's just, no, I don't have the right to my own body if I can't abort a baby. Again, this idea that I have the right to do whatever and I know libertarians will maybe get upset with me here, but we did have a culture where you would take into consideration how it affects other people. Certainly if you're if you're terminating a life, which we know you are, at the very least we can agree in the third trimester. At the very least we can agree when it's viable, even if you're not pro-life. You're certainly terminating another life, but when we talk also about being a stroke victim who's maybe mentally unfit, being a senator, that affects other people. When we talk about women having to go into the military, in the Marines, where they can do half as many push-ups and still get a perfect score, that affects other people. It's not always about you. If it puts other people at risk, if it hurts other people, it's no longer your decision to make. It's not at your discretion. Right. That's the argument with abortion. Is it a life? That's the argument when we're talking about someone serving in public office. It's not that we don't like him because he had a stroke. It's that we think he may not be fit for the job. It's not that you don't have the right to your own body. It's that you don't have the right to dismember another body. That's where the argument is. You may disagree, but you need to be honest about where the argument is. And if we can all agree that we need to get to that point, I'm not talking about finding common ground. I'm talking about at least being honest in representing your ideological and political opposition. You don't need to be nice. You don't need to find false common ground. You just need to be honest. And I'm past the point of believing that the left thinks it's an honest argument to say you're ableist, thinks it's an honest argument to say they want you to be raped and they don't care about incest. It's not honest. Hit the like button if you agree. That helps with the algorithm. YouTube doesn't like it very much. And again, no good deed goes unpunished, because I don't know if the control room can bring up some of the tweets. It's trending here this morning. Taylor Swift also pissed off fat people.
What? Oh.
Yeah. I knew that was going to happen when I saw his washboard abs.
Yeah, that'll do it. She wears big vagina pants.
Yes.
I've said it.
Destigmatize the bulge.
I'm just saying she's got them up here. She can pull them off. I'm not saying she's not adorable.
She's very pretty.
She does have trouble keeping a man, according to her music.
Yes, she does. Yeah. According to her. And by that, you mean any man.
Yes.
You're like, she's going to throw some shade at John Mayer. Again, who cares? So fat people are mad because in the Swift video, even though it's pro-trans and she has a love interest who's a man with I don't even know if he has a John Thomas. I have no idea. But she showed a scale in her music video that reads fat. So the idea there is supposed to be, hey, you're being told that you're not good enough.
Right.
Right? It would seem as though she's actually, unfortunately, part of the pro-fat pride movement, but they were upset.
Well, it's it would not even self-deprecation. It's showing depression. It's showing.
Yeah. Can we bring that tweet up again? I don't know if you can read it. It says, there is no explanation for portraying fatness as bad and as something to fear, which doesn't justify the hatred of fat people.
Oh, really? Self-hatred isn't a reason? Because that's what that's supposed to be.
I know.
Fearing fatness is a basic tenet of how fat phobia operates.
Didn't Lizzo have something with a scale, too? Was it in an actual video?
I think it was, actually.
Where it said skinny and beautiful? Yakuza, is that what
Skinny AF, I think.
Skinny AF in her scale?
Yeah.
So Taylor Swift is fat, and Lizzo is skinny AF.
Well, but if it's so bad, why would it say skinny AF? Wouldn't it just say fat? Because that's what beautiful.
Yeah, this is the thing where they want to act like they don't. This is the problem with feminism, okay? It's the same bullshit that you see in She-Hulk. You want to see everything that is wrong with feminism? Try and stomach 2 episodes of She-Hulk. It's, all guys are completely incompetent when she clearly is terrible at her job. I can't believe that people are mad at me for being in this job, which she was unqualified for, was given the job because she's a celebrity superhero. And then at the same time, I don't care what anyone thinks about me while she's getting custom designer suits and dresses to try and look better. It's the same thing with Lizzo. I don't care what y'all say. I think I'm beautiful. As she signs a multi-million-dollar beauty deal with makeup, with perfume, which, by the way, you have to jump in a vat of that because of the fat yeast infections. The point is, they try and act as though they don't care. Of course they care. And this is why there's no pleasing anybody, because it can't be objective truth. If you think that Lizzo is skinny AF and Taylor Swift is either fat, or you think that commentary in that was fat-phobic, then there is no truth that can get through to you. You're living a lie. Also, I don't know about you. If you had your pick, getting rid of, obviously, like, assuming like they couldn't talk, Taylor Swift or Lizzo?
Can't I just have the sandwich?
Who do you think is prettier?
Yeah, Taylor.
Well,
yeah,
I gotta go Taylor. If I'm being honest.
That's racism.
I do love. Well, no, it's not. It's fat phobia. Apparently, I'm afraid of fat people. I think Lizzo would crush me, and therefore I would die. So
Get your
yes,
little
I'm
orphan
afraid.
Annie LGBT fat pride decoder pen.
Yeah, but she would play a mean flute while I was dying.
Yes.
No, but look, I think Taylor Swift, I love it that they go after Taylor Swift. I love it that people who go out and try to virtue signal and say, oh, I can't believe, and say stupid stuff like that we talked about with abortion, what she said about that, it's our bodies. I can't believe we're losing our rights. I love it when the left eats their own, because it shows you that, like you said, there is no pleasing them. There is no real center to the left. It is whatever we think at any point in time, and it can be completely taken out of context. Do you remember, and this maybe wasn't, do you remember when she got in trouble for having cornrows and eating watermelon in one of her music videos?
Yes, I do.
Was that Taylor Swift?
That was Taylor Swift.
She looked like Sugar Sean O'Malley.
I think I'm 99% sure it was Taylor Swift. I
It
don't know a lot
offends
of
me
the
just
cultural
hearing about it.
things.
Yes.
But it was just like...
Don't get me started on the video where she had dreadlocks and was shaking her head like corn.
Yeah,
Well,
that's no good.
yeah, that's true. She had a headache. After that. She's not much of a headbanger. So she absolutely got roasted for doing that. And I'm like, what makes you stay on the left? Fear? Like you have to, because you're in the entertainment industry, you have to come out and support these causes?
It's guilt. I'll tell you, it's guilt. Here's what it is.
Yeah.
Usually you look at business owners, right? And I mean people who are wealthy, because wealthy in this country is $250,000 or more is joint household income. Now it's $400,000 or more because former Vice President Biden makes 401. He makes $400,000. I'm going to increase taxes on anyone making more than $400,000. That's the ticket. But the point is, if you look at most people who are wealthy in this country, they've had to create businesses or they've had to provide goods or services, right?
Yeah.
They've had to build it from the ground up. And as someone who's been in both sides, who's acted, but who's also done, not only stand-up, but now employ 20 people, I know what it takes to build this up. And it's hard-fought territory. A lot of people who are actors or in the entertainment industry, they're incredibly talented, but they feel guilty because it's God-given. In other words, they go from nothing to millions of dollars, and I think they think there's a part of them that says this easily could have been someone else, somewhere else. I didn't earn this.
Imposter syndrome.
I think it's a huge component of what happens. I mean, stand-up comedians don't always have the most amount of respect for actors who sit there and bitch about their craft and how hard it is. It's like you're saying what they tell you to. Of course, there are great actors, and there are fantastic actors, and there are terrible actors. But people who have to create something and say, well, hold on a second, you have a script, you have a producer, you have a makeup artist, you have a stage and a microphone.
Yeah.
And people are going to boo you if you're not good.
Well, and try to get you canceled and every other thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think the real problem with this, too, is Taylor Swift is putting out a music video where she's trying to show, at least from what I can grasp from it, that people do deal with the fact that they are, say, fat-shamed, or they do feel bad about themselves, or they do live in a society where they don't feel like they're good enough. Depression's at an all-time high. We give SSRIs to so many people that, work as well as Pez.
Yes.
And we have a lot of people that are struggling, especially after the pandemic, with emotional disorders.
Right.
So she's pointing that out.
Yeah.
But instead, you want to look at it, rifle through it, find the word fat, not realize what the actual meaning of it is, and then poison her with it.
Right.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like she's just trying to point out how somebody else might feel who's one of her fans.
Right. But she has to, like every other actor or actress who has had this happen, you have to come out and fight it. You have to say,
agreed.
I do not care what you think about this. My point was this. This is art trying to show you that people are self-critical. And
no, and she'll half apologize or whatever.
For her, obviously, she's not fat. That's the whole point.
Right.
Swing.
Yeah, which one of those is fat? Right? You remember Chris Pine when he was listening to Guardians of the Galaxy at the movie theater or watching it, and he heard
Chris Pine or Chris Pratt?
Pine, the lesser of the Chris's.
Yeah.
He said, turn it up. And he tweeted it out, turn it up, hashtag Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever it was. And the deaf community came after him. I'm not even kidding. We covered it on the show.
Oh, no, I remember.
Right? And he came out and he actually signed an apology. And I was like, You just have to say, I'm sorry you can't hear it. This music's amazing. I don't know.
I mean, he didn't have to at all deaf people.
No.
That is true. He really didn't need to target
the
them.
deaf community is a big thing. Reg, who obviously worked here, is brilliant. He has a son who's deaf and another one who is hearing impaired. And he said it's really a problem that doesn't need to exist in modern times in the sense that, you either get to the point of cochlear implants or, hearing aids have gotten much better.
For sure.
Not entirely solvable, but we've made great strides. And there's an entire component of the deaf community who says, well, no, that's shaming deafness, and they want to remain deaf. Go watch The Sound of Metal. I watched it. This is great acting. And I'm sitting there like, wait, he gets kicked out of the deaf club because he got a cochlear implant? You kick him out?
Well, he's no longer one of us.
Yeah. It's like Children of the Corn. One of us.
No,
one
it's true.
of us. Was that Children of the Corn?
Freaks.
Bro, yeah. Gooble gobble,
Gobble,
yes.
Gooble gobble.
My point is this. Lizzo, you're not skinny as F or AAF. Skinny AF. I don't care. Let's move on to school. This is what actually matters. Hopefully we can safeguard against this tomfoolery I'm trying to
We can't.
Yes, we can't. All is lost. It's like that Robert Redford film. That was a terrible movie. Boy, it left me wanting to kill myself.
He's made a lot of crap,
bad.
if we're being honest.
Yeah. Speaking of crap, let's move on to public schools here. So, in this country right now, you may not know of this, and I think this is really valuable because for the first time we kind of have an apples-to-apples comparison, which we didn't have before with homeschooling and with public schools because the methods were so different.
Right, yeah.
And now a lot of homeschooling has moved online. And of course, we know for the last 2 years, public schools, who have a way more money and qualifications, have largely moved online as well. Well, the 2022 results from the National Assessment of Education Progress, the NAEP. The acronym isn't even short enough. So grades 4 through 8, they're in. We have an assessment now. It's not good.
New test results from the nation's report card show in most states, 4th and 8th graders are falling behind in reading and math.
That's
the
not
math
important.
scores are historic, the worst decline ever recorded, with roughly 25% of 4th graders and 38% of 8th graders performing below the basic level, the lowest of the 3 achievement levels for the test. Students who were already struggling in school showed the most dramatic drop-off. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona calling the results appalling and unacceptable.
Is that guy who makes like $450,000 a year?
I think he makes a lot of money. Didn't we talk about that guy?
It's like, hey, these results are appalling and unacceptable. Oh, who's in charge here?
President
I guess
Biden.
me.
Yeah, it's my fault.
I did a really bad job. What are you going to do about it? Well, not much.
You can't fire me.
No.
Don't be absurd.
I wouldn't fire myself.
Don't be meritocratist.
I've got tenure?
Yes.
I need a raise.
Yep. So ACT scores, by the way, also for the 10th through 12th grade have fallen to their lowest point in more than 30 years. It's the lowest since 1991. And by the way, this is even for states that don't administer standardized tests. California, for example, their proficiency is down across the board. Right? Only 47% met the standard for English. Only 33% met the standard for math. That's a 4 and 6.5% drop since 2018-19, right? That semester in both categories. That is dramatic. And that's also why I think putting children in public schools today is tantamount to child abuse. Hit the like button, or you can comment below if you agree.
But here's the thing. With all of this happening, with people having the lowest test scores, with people doing very, very, very poorly in school and not being educated, they want more money when they go to the workforce.
Yes, because they don't have enough.
They don't have enough skills to earn more
They have
money,
degrees,
so they have to be given.
and they have all the money, but they can't outcompete mom with an iMac. And by the way, though, we do need to be clear, right? Both sides of the coin here. Not all people were negatively affected by the pandemic and the online learning challenges. For example, here we've lived this, right?
Yeah.
We've hired some great new interns.
Hey dude, what's the craziest thing you did during your online learning? I cheated on my Spanish final.
Nice. I used my brother's old thesis on stingrays to pass biology.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
good.
I had sex with my teacher.
Weren't you homeschooled?
Yeah.
So, I have a question for you. The results for public schools are in, so let's compare. Can we compare it to homeschooling? And by the way, the more you dive into these numbers, all references are available at loudwithcrowder.com. We like to think that, homeschool kids, they're maladjusted and
it's bad.
They don't do very well. And there's been a real movement, by the way, not just people like John Oliver, but people in the government from the left trying to make it more difficult, nearly impossible to homeschool. In Canada, where I was raised, I knew one kid who was homeschooled. I don't know the regulations there. I know it's a lot of hoops to jump through.
And you made fun of him, most likely.
Yeah, well, he was weird. Simon was a weird kid.
According to YouPorn, it's a sticky situation.
It can be.
Oh, geez.
So here's the United States Census. Their Pulse survey showed homeschooling skyrocketed from 5% of households in the spring of 2022 to over 11% by the fall. So a doubling, to be clear. And we have the results. Again, they're learning online, right, in public schools. A lot of homeschooling now is online, or at the very least, parents are sort of following along, usually mom.
Big component
with a syllabus. I don't know if you call it an online syllabus exactly, or some kind of a course outline. Homeschool students, on average, scored 15 to 30% above public school students in the standardized academic achievement test. And here's something else that's important. Black homeschooled students, Black American homeschool students, actually did 23 to 42% better than Black students in public schools. And this is data you won't have, but I'm willing to bet why, or at least it's a component. Probably young Black Americans who are being homeschooled, I'm willing to bet that a higher percentage of them have fathers in the household because of the kinds of people who typically homeschool. They're typically traditional. You typically need a father there if you're going to have one of the parents homeschooling, a strong family unit, because it's even more drastic than just the average. It's higher for Black homeschool students. So if we're talking about this, we're talking about improving the Black community here in this country. Well, why don't we talk about homeschooling? Because it's not a money issue.
Yeah. I think there's a large amount of peer pressure as well that they're benefiting from at homeschool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Depending on the neighborhood. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those. You made the point. Like, you've got to have somebody earning a living, somebody staying home with the children to do the homeschooling. But I don't know. If I had to guess, my impression of homeschooled people, like you said, maladjusted, like socially a little bit awkward, I would not have guessed doing much, much better overall than public school kids.
Oh, I did.
I never would have guessed that.
Really?
No. I know some smart people that were homeschooled, but I would just assume that the school system would have, billions and billions of dollars to have better educational services for people, and I was wrong.
Oh, you're being facetious.
No, I wasn't. I would never have guessed that. I know.
Are you serious?
I never would have guessed that.
You never would have guessed that homeschool students do better than public school students?
No, I would have thought that they just taught their own curriculum.
Well, I mean, I was like, mom can't possibly be as good as a public.
They still have to get their GED.
No, do they? Well, you mean the homeschool? Yeah. No, I understand that. I thought you meant mom.
What would I mean?
Yeah, sorry.
Their good enough degree.
Yes. So no, I'm surprised that you're surprised. Yeah, no, we've always known that the numbers are higher.
Yeah.
But here's where it also is even more important when you look at how much money is spent on public schools. You see those stupid bumper stickers, when the Air Force needs to host a bake sale to raise money for their bombers, and public schools get all the money they need. If you look at total spending, when you include federal and state spending, we spend way more on education. Now, let's also look at specifically, right? You would think the pandemic. People now could say, well, we weren't prepared. The reason it's gone down is because we weren't prepared for by the way, the pandemic did not cause proficiency scores to plummet. It was the insane, dishonest reactions to COVID-19. COVID-19 didn't make kids dumber. Also, you weren't prepared? Well, $190 billion that was allocated to schools in response to COVID says you were.
Gee.
$190 billion, and you're acting like it just came upon you like a thief in the night. $190 billion should soften that landing a little bit.
Because that's what you guys said you needed. You said teachers unions across the country, you said you couldn't go to work because it was a scary place because people could get sick, right? Even though we knew a lot about the virus by that point, you just said we need more money. They were striking in Chicago for more money.
Yeah.
They were striking everywhere that they were striking for more money because it's all about the student. Yes. It's not about the teacher, but if you pay me more, I'll do a better job. Right. That's essentially what we've been hearing. But then we give you $190 billion in additional funding that's either earmarked or taken already.
Right.
And your results.
Well, the average spending per pupil, or the federal government, I believe this is only the federal government. We have the references. Only the federal government. That's not including state spending, which is a huge component of public school spending. $13,000 per student. And by the way, in some low-income districts, the COVID funding alone. And by the way, when I say low income, I do mean there's a higher percentage, right? This is where they'll try and accuse you of being racist if you say there's a higher percentage of black Americans, but then they'll say, by the way, of course, there's environmental racism because these factories or these oil refineries, they get set up in low income areas which have a lot of black people. But if you say it here, look, this negatively affects black Americans more. So in some low income districts, COVID funding alone allocated an additional $30,000 per student.
Wow.
Wow, that's a lot.
And homeschooled kids, children, do we say of color? That's the term. It feels dirty saying that. I'm going to say black kids. I don't know how a person of color is any different from colored people.
Right.
And I just feel like 5 years from now, it's going to turn on us. So black is always relatively safe.
There you go.
$30,000 per student. Now, let's compare that to, so that's $190 billion, just COVID. Okay. Now, there are 3.7 million homeschooled students, right, as of 2020-21. That actually saved taxpayers $56 billion. You know, you've heard me talk about this when people say, well, the wall is going to be expensive. The wall, if you were to build it on the southern border, would be somewhere between $20 billion to $40 billion, depending on the estimates you use. Illegal immigrants cost the taxpayers well over $100 billion annually.
Right.
Homeschooled students save $56 billion for taxpayers. $190 billion net negative, right? You spend it versus making $56 billion. Hey, we also know the test scores are better. We also know that it helps students of color more. How about we create, this is a perfect example. We don't need to spend more money. We need to pull it back and create incentives and make it easier and more efficient for kids to be homeschooled.
And let them maybe participate in sports there, maybe participate in some of the extracurricular activities. Make it more of a part of our society because we know that it performs better, but it's the money.
It's the money.
Principals, I mean, the reason they have attendance policies, it's not because of the test scores. Of course, they have to have a baseline, but when they go way below the baseline and hit their head on the bar, they still get to do their job.
Right.
It's because the more days you're there, that's how they get their money and their funding. If you're not there, they don't get paid for you that day from the government. That's how it works.
There are taxpayers out there just waiting to give you their money. Are you man enough to take it?
Do you have the balls to take it?
It takes brass balls to be a public school teacher. I'm sorry, real hero.
I'm here on a mission of mercy.
I wish when I was getting screamed at for never going to class, they were just like, it's about money.
Yes.
Yeah, they would have. That's exactly
If
what
they would have
should
just said it, they should have been like, look,
oh, okay,
$20 a class.
Yes.
Yeah, we
like,
can't
all right.
make a deal.
We've known this before, but I'm hoping, I talked about this yesterday. You see Cuban Americans are the most consistently conservative voting bloc. Why? Because they've lived it. Because a lot of Cuban Americans, they're actual refugees, by the way. They were a generation of refugees.
Right.
So they fled a government which was legitimately persecuting them, okay, to be clear. And so since they've lived it, they have said we reject socialism in all of its forms, and they're reliably conservative. We've always known that spending does not correlate with public schools to any type of actual measurable outcomes. By the way, for example, there's no correlation between spending and better scores. Washington, D.C., they spend $30,000 per student on average. It's the second worst, okay, in the country as far as the NAEP, wonderful acronym.
Who's
report.
number one? I really want to know.
Is it
who took
Detroit?
first? I have no idea. I thought Detroit would be in the running. Of
Could
course,
be Poughkeepsie. Just be one that just
I doubt it.
surprises you,
It's
like
random.
Schenectady.
Yeah.
Shit.
Oh wow.
But
Didn't Ellen give the school board of Detroit like a giant check, and then they just went and bought stuff for the principal?
Oh, they've
two
done
other
that
people?
several times.
Yeah.
Everybody who has a lot of money thinks, oh, I can just throw money at it. Mark Zuckerberg gave $100 million, or at least contributed to the fund that raised $100 million for Newark Public Schools when Cory Booker was there and actually running the program. I've mentioned it before. It doesn't do anything.
So
it does not do anything.
Yeah, it went to him getting some wonderful haikus for his Instagram.
Well, yeah.
Gosh, that guy's just the worst.
I hate him.
No, but now you're living it. Hey, parents, if I'd love to hear from you below right now if you're watching, if you're listening. Have you had kids in public schools? Or if you homeschool, has it really been affected by the pandemic? Do we also really want an education system that is beholden to a bad flu? For kids, when we're talking about the death rates, for children, no, this is the issue. We've always known that spending does not correlate with better outcomes. And now, hopefully, you've said, $190 billion, more money than ever going into public schools. Are they better? Objectively, they're not. Subjectively, do you feel better about sending your kid to public schools? So don't ever let the left say, we're the empathetic side. You're not empathetic. What? I don't want to spend money in the military. I want to help our kids. Look, that would work if the premise was correct, that throwing more money at the education system makes it better. It hasn't. Now, I'm not saying that throwing more money at it makes it worse, but I can say that there is a reverse correlation if you actually look on a graph. The more money we spend, the proficiency scores have gone down. So we can all definitively say more money is not the solution. And we can all definitively say that homeschooling produces better outcomes and saves the taxpayer money. People want to talk about nonpartisan issues. Oh, you're just shouting over each other. Okay. Where's the common ground here? I can't imagine an issue where we should be able to find more common ground. Maybe charter schools, but you guys don't want that. It's really bad. We talked about this before we locked down the schools, and the teachers didn't want to go back to school. Yeah. We had doctors saying that not only are we going to have mental health issues, the likes of which we have never seen, but this directly affects students and their ability to learn. You made your decisions.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that we didn't talk about, but if you look at Catholic private schools, yes, in that same proficiency report that came out, and you made Catholic private schools a state, right? They would be number one in every category for proficiency. Number one. One of the differences with Catholic private schools, so this is the same solution.
Hit you with a ruler and make you drink, make you eat last night's vomit?
They beat you and then they sprinkle you, so that's fine.
Walking bow-legged?
Yes.
No, but the two things, and you can take these over and you can apply these to public school as well. One is parents are paying to send their kids to private school. So parents are invested
there's buy-in
in their education, right? And two, better quality teachers because there's competition. Yeah. At private Catholic schools, if you don't have a good academic program, which means you're sending people to the next level, either for jobs or to colleges, they're doing well, they're having good outcomes, people tend to look at your program and go, it's not worth the money, I'm going to go do something else. Public school has never had to compete.
Right.
All you need to do right now is get rid of funding for public education, get rid of all of the payment mechanisms.
Certainly on the federal level.
Yeah, for the federal level. Get rid of all the payment mechanisms, whether it be property taxes in the state of Texas or other places that tax another way. Give that money to parents and say, okay, here, you are responsible for your child's education, because guess what? You are. It doesn't matter what the government does. You are responsible for your child's education. And teachers, you're going to have to compete just like everybody else. Public school was a great try.
Yeah.
We missed it. We need to change, and we won't unless teachers' unions are gone.
You know what it makes me think of, too? People would always say, they talk about Ebenezer Scrooge. By the way, it's my favorite piece of fiction ever, is A Christmas Carol. It's like the fifth gospel.
Yeah.
But A Christmas Carol, Ebenezer Scrooge, it really is a story of a liberal becoming a conservative. Because remember, when they came to him for donations, he said, are there no prisons? Are there no poorhouses? These are government-run entities. In other words, in his mind, it was, that's off my plate.
Right.
I don't need to do anything about it. The government's supposed to handle it. And then after his moment of redemption, he said, you know what? It is up to me to give to charity. It is up to me to be a good Christian, to do the Christian thing, to help my fellow man. It is not up to me to just pass it off to the government. And of course, this is also why I see the left, that they want to remove the tax-exempt status of the church. This is why the left constantly denigrates the church, constantly misrepresents the fact that they're more giving, that they're more charitable, that they're more generous. Middle-class Christian conservative Americans are the most generous people on the planet as a percentage of their income, bar none. It's not even close. Reference is available at louderwithcutter.com. We've talked about this several times before. It's really easy for the left to say, we're compassionate, especially when 47% of Americans don't even pay any federal income tax. Wow. Maybe it's down to 43% right now. I don't know. Really easy to say, yeah, that's being taken care of over there. I've done my part. It's a lot more difficult for you to sit down and look the people who are affected in the face and do your job to help them. And you know what your job is in this case? Your mom, your dad. You need to teach your kids. You don't need a degree. You just need to care. But of course, we know that all the true heroes, that's their problem, is they care too much.
That's true.
They give too much. And by the way, I care too much about quality firearms. So before we leave, Walther, they're the official firearm of Louder with Crowder Studios. This is the Walther PDP. You can go to waltherarms.com, shop online, or they'll find your dealer locator. Look, I don't need to say, this is like cheat codes. The PDP with a red dot, It's absurd. Just go and try it. They have the balls to sponsor the show. I think you'll love it. And, look, everybody out there, if you're a parent, you put your kids in public schools. I have no common ground with you. YouTube, we're about to talk Andrew Tate.